very special day for all of us. And I got a phone call a few minutes ago. We may be having an addition. Brendan's water broke, so she's having a baby. And so, well, thank God for babies, right? Something that intrigued me, several things actually intrigued me this week, especially yesterday, day before, just reading. And I'm sorry that I'm not going to bring you a story of Jesus in a manger today. I'm just going to do what I feel like I need to do. Then I'll get out of your way. If anybody knows me, I really don't exalt it one day above the next. My wife gets aggravated. I think it's just another day that we need to rejoice that He is our Savior. And I know that we set aside a time that we reverence and we do what we do. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. I'm just saying that I think every day ought to be Christmas, right? Giving Him glory, giving Him honor, and magnifying Him. Something that I read that I want to deliver to you the best that I can this evening or this morning. I'm usually preaching at night. And I never saw it quite like this. And I want to demolish shame. I want to demolish guilt. I can't do it. The Word can. I can't. I have no power to do that, but the Word does. And I feel like that maybe even some of us that's been in church for years and years and years, that sometimes we do deal with shame. You know, shame would drive you further away from God, and conviction will drive you to God. Condemnation drives you from God. But conviction is good. And I felt earlier why my bass player's not here. I was playing and I was thinking, Lord, I just feel like we need a move of God to demolish shame. There's no reason why we should be shameful today, but we are. I want to direct, and I'm going to do this a little bit different. I know we stand for the reading of the Word, but if you will just remain seated for a little bit, and just let me give you what I feel. When I started reading the book of Luke, chapter 15, I noticed that Jesus started giving a parable, first off, about a man that has 100 sheep. And he goes on to say that if a shepherd would lose one sheep, that he would leave the 99 and he would go and search and seek out until he found the one. When he comes back, he would call his neighbors and say, I have found the one that I have been looking for. So they rejoice together. Jesus doesn't stop there, because the very next parable that he gives us another event, that if a widow woman, has a mite that's very low currency. I have one in my office if you want to see it. If she loses it in her home, she would light a candle and she would search high and low until she found it. And when she found it, she would call her neighbors. They would come and rejoice together that she has found the one. You got it? But when he begins the next story, he doesn't really say that it's a parable. Right after the mite, something transpires that I have really never noticed. That he begins to say, and there was a certain man. And today we're going to try our best to eliminate shame. This man that we're talking about, that Jesus plainly said, and there was a certain man. He is married. He has 2 sons. And They're not twins. One's older. He's more settled. His mind is more connected with home life. And not too much in life bothers him. Being under authority of his daddy, he has somewhat of authority when he can call for service and they would show up. If he needed something, they would do it for him. If he had a request, they would fight tooth and nail to make it happen. He had that kind of power. But the second son, which is the youngest son, is a little bit different than the older son. It's kind of reality that when you have children, that they're not all alike, that they're somewhat different. Some think different, some laugh different, they grow different, they learn different, they respond to things different, and their differences in liking stuff is just simply different. Are you hearing me today? But in this story, in this event, there is two sons that one we will deal with, and the other we probably don't have time to deal with. This father that Jesus is talking about is what I would call in the South just a Southern dad. He raises his boys to fear God, to pray at supper, and to reverence the less esteemed. He teaches them morals. He prays with them. He teaches them skills of life. And what much more could a son ask for that a dad would take the time to teach him what needs to be taught? Are you with me? Somewhere in the middle of their lifespan. If you have a brother here today, or they're not here, or maybe even a sister, I think that you would relate to me when I say to you that there are times when you're bringing up that you're going to disagree with your brother. There are times when you're going to almost fist fight, if I could say it that way, your brother. Are you hearing me today? There's going to be moments where you're thinking that you're right, and your brother or sister feels that they are right. There's no going to mom and dad to find a judgment here, because at the end of the day, when the lights go out and the sun goes down, they are still brothers and sisters. Are you hearing me today? There is something about the love between siblings that you just cannot break apart. So there really is no need in going to find judgment from a dad that has instilled in these two young boys morals and working hard and saving money and not splurging on things that is no count. But one day, I am sure that Daddy is going to observe the two boys. Somewhere in their lifespan, Daddy had to sit down and talk to Mama. Maybe Dad sat down and talked to someone else that is a good friend, or someone that they get a haircut with, or just simply drink a cup of coffee with, and expose his concerns about one of his boys. Are you hearing me? Stay with me, because you're going to miss it. I'm almost done. Here we go. The dad has to now describe his feelings about his sons. Most of us have done that. Perhaps the conversation is a little like this. We're going to have a friend today by the name of Bob. Bob, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I have two sons, and they're so different. Bob would probably respond and said, a blind man could see that. Dad is going to express his concerns about his younger boy. I've noticed, Bob, that when something comes up, he's quick to react. I've noticed, Bob, that when something occurs in the house or around the house, that he's the first one involved, if it's especially involving a fist fight. Am I talking to any sons right now? Bob, there's a problem because I have found out that his attitude toward me and his mother is a little bit contaminated. No looking at your sons and daughters today. Bob, I'm a little bit concerned about him because he is rotten to the core. So he leaves and goes home and talks to Mama and says, I don't know what we're going to do with the younger boy. He's just a little out of hand. Respectful, but a little out of hand. Mother doesn't want to hear Dad say that. You mothers hear that. You want to hear that your son is going to grow up to be leading men in the public's eye. But one day, while sitting possibly on a stump, the younger boy approaches the dad and says to him, I have something I would like to say to you today, Dad, and it's possibly going to break your heart. It's going to ruin your world, but Dad, I am sick and tired of living here under your roof. There's more outside than there is here. I hear friends talk about what they do and what I can't do. Dad, I am of age now. I would just like for you to go down and get my portion of what belongs to me and hand it to me and let me be on my way. Oh, hear me today, ladies and gentlemen. I got something to say. Dad does not argue with him. Dad does not try to manipulate him. He doesn't try to change his heart because Dad quickly realizes that all of those years, something has been brewing in this boy. When the older son is out doing what he does, but the younger son is just simply saying, give me what's mine. I'm out of here. Dad gives him what's his, and he hits the road. Not many days, the Bible said that he packs his stuff up and he leaves home. Now, I don't know the further he got away from home, if he kept looking back to the old farm and the old home place, that he kept maybe trying to persuade himself that he shouldn't do this. But nevertheless, the call of sin and the call of the world and the call of the unknown has got him so intrigued that everything that he's been taught at the farm does not amount to a hill of beans, because there's a drive inside of him that overrides everything that Dad taught him. He has to go and see for himself. I don't know where he went. I have been studying 2 days on 2 islands that I would love to visit. I've been close to them, but one's Saipan and the other one is Tinian. I'd love to visit these where our military has approached them many, many, many years ago. Now they're talking about recovering those islands, so I was intrigued by that. I don't know where this boy went. I don't know how many people he observed, and you have to understand, you still with me this morning? That this particular young man, as he passed people that he's never passed, went into places he's never been before. Now he's exposed to things that he's never been exposed to. And so now the lifespan in his mind thinks he's going to live forever, and that little bit of money that Dad gave him is going to last forever. But sooner or later, he doesn't realize that the money is going to run out. It's not what you give to your children that makes them. It's what you put in your children that makes them. Are you hearing me today? All of this being said, I have something I need to say. I want shame to be abolished in this room, because I feel like that shame has pushed some of us in this room in a place where we are too ashamed to talk to God. This young boy doesn't know that mother's face is full of tears. He doesn't recognize, because the drive inside of him is more than mother's tears. The drive inside of him is greater than what dad could ever put in him. Prayers are made day and night for their son. He is not found. He is not saved. According to Scripture, he is lost today. But the drive inside of him is pushing him to areas that he doesn't quickly realize that it's going to zap him of his power and his joy, and also it's going to develop shame inside of him. Hold on to me now. So he spends his money. He lies with the women. He goes to the bar room, if you will. He goes places that he's never been before. He's made buddies that he thought he would never make. As long as you got money, you've got a buddy. But soon he figured out that when he dug in his pocket, there was nothing left in his pocket. There is no credit cards. There is no cash apps. There is no phoning or texting mom and dad to send me money to bail me out. But he quickly realizes that something triggered in his mind. Are you still with me today? Triggering in his mind is the fact that I cannot go back different than the way I left. Shame is beginning to infiltrate. Shame is starting to manipulate. Shame has driven him to the place that he is more willing to join himself to a farmer in a country that he does not know anybody, and work for him and lay and sleep with the pigs, feed them the husk, and every once in a while, watch now, he would get a carob. What's called a carob bean is a husk, and he would eat with the swine. He would rather do that than to try to send a letter or a messenger back to dad to say, I've messed up. Are you hearing me today? The Bible said, and no man gave unto him. I feel it today. Excuse me for not hooping today. I just want to talk to you about shame. Shame has totally consumed him now. Somebody say, prove it. It's not what he has back home that makes him feel like that he can't go home. It's not what he used to have that is bothering him, that he feels like that he has failed certain people in his family. There's only one individual that he is afraid of, and that he has so much shame that he doesn't even want to remotely think about going home. It wasn't his Sunday school teacher that he feared the most. That's a Sunday school teacher. They'll get over that. I didn't fail them, I failed my father. It's not the fact that, the trustee board would annihilate him when he showed back up. He wasn't worried about the trustee board. He was just worried about what his father would say. It's not even his brother, not even his mother. But while he's laying with the pigs, shame is kicking in. It's a part of him that I believe that he would say these words: I'd rather die in this pig pen than to face my daddy after he has raised me the way he raised me. Am I talking to anybody right now? I'm not a prodigal today. Oh, Brother Pullins, I've got it all made. Well, God bless you. Please leave, then you don't need this message. But I'm talking to Mike Pullins too. Because I quickly realized that when he ate the last carabine, fed the last pig, that the Bible said that he came to himself. The difference between the sheep and the coin and the might and the son is the fact that it's my responsibility when I have lost a coin, and it's my responsibility when I have lost a sheep. But it's not my responsibility when someone knows better and they leave out of the ark of safety. Then we do what the Father does, and we stand still until they come to themselves. Shame is pushing him to where he's lost weight. There's nothing to eat. There's no cash out. There's nothing that they could give him. For the Bible said that, and no man gave unto him. Nobody felt sorry for him. Wouldn't you, mama and daddy, be worried to death knowing that your son or your daughter was living in a pig pen and that they wouldn't come home because they feared you? And the shame has driven this man to a bad place. That when he came to himself, listen to me, folks. He got up. He did not say, I think I'm going to go home, find me an apartment and a job, because I don't want Dad to feel that I have wasted his substance and that I have done everything opposite of what he's taught me. He didn't say that because he didn't have any money. It wasn't what he was going to say to his family members, but watch what shame started doing. You are now worthless. Your value is so low that you're not even allowed to eat with human beings, and you have to eat with the pigs. Shame is driving his mind to a place of depression and oppression. And now when he comes to himself, he doesn't rehearse in his mind what he's going to say to his mother. He doesn't rehearse what he's going to say to his brother or his Sunday school teacher or those that are in the church, those that have been praying and fast. He's not worried about what they would say, but what he begins to do is rehearse in his heart, in his mind, over and over and over. What shall I say? I must go home. But the shame is driving me to a place I'm going to sit here and die in the middle of a pig pen if I don't make some type of adjustment. Are you hearing me today? And while he gets up and salutes to the pig pen, I don't know where I'm going, boys. I don't even know how I'm going to get there. But all I know is I got to go home. And in his mind, he starts rehearsing. How can I approach my daddy? What am I going to say to him? He starts rehearsing over and over. Oh, this is what I'll say, Dad. I'm sorry. Oh, that's not going to work. Dad, listen, if you don't want me to come home, it's okay. I understand. You hear me today? If you don't want me around, if you think that I'm going to contaminate others, if I'm going to be a bad influence to others, and you don't want me to come home, that's okay. No, I probably can't say that. What can I say to my dad? Shame is driving. Shame. Maybe I just need to go back to the pig pen, stay here. Maybe somebody hire me. Maybe I could make a life, find a wife, have kids. Go back one day, show him what I did. But no, I have no money. I have nowhere to go. Sleeping, I stink. I have no shoes. I have no clothes. I have no food. I have nothing, but I don't know what my daddy is going to say to me. You sure are quiet this morning. When daddy, he doesn't know that daddy watches every day. See if there's somebody coming across that farm. never shows up. Mama is praying. Mama's fasting. Mama. Then says, I tell you, the only thing I know to say to my daddy. Anybody ever been there before? Only thing I can say. I have sinned against heaven and Dad against you. And he's walking back on the same path that he walked away on. And Dad, I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Would you just make me one of your servants? Because they have plenty to eat. They have a place to lay down. I'm no longer, and he keeps rehearsing. And the more he rehearsed it, the better it sounded. And after being raised by a man that had so much compassion and so much patience to raise them boys right, he already knew that his dad was possibly going to say, you ruined it, you destroyed it, you lost it, you bummed out. And if Dad says that, that's okay. I just want him to know that I just want to come home. That's okay. He probably thought his dad was going to tell him, man, you're a loser. Man, you're a piece of trash. I told you, and I told the barber you would never amount to anything. I knew that when you were born, you were different than your other brother. All of these things is possibly going through his mind, but it didn't care. It didn't matter because now the shame that has driven him to a place that he doesn't care about anything else but what his father's going to say. That when he came to himself, something on the inside of him that says, if I'm just a servant, I would be okay with that. And so now he hides behind the tree, looking and gazing across the farm to see if Dad is going to walk out on the porch. Maybe Dad has walked out on the porch multiple times, and when he stepped out from behind the tree, shame drove him back behind the tree. And he stands there, and shame paralyzes him. They don't know what he wants to do. So finally, one day he says, I'm so hungry. I just want to go home. That he walks up onto the property, the Bible said, a great ways off, and his dad saw him. And ran to him. The friction between the dad and the son's possibly thinking, when he meets me, he's going to harm me because look at me. I have nothing. But his dad runs. Y'all with me? Grabs him, lays his head on his shoulder, and kisses him on the neck as a sign of welcome home. Are you okay today? The rehearsing comes out of his mouth so fast. Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no more worthy to be called thy son. But if you'll just make me one of your hired servants, I will be okay with that. Daddy, the shame that has drove people, ladies and gentlemen, to a dark closet to hang themselves, that has driven people to cock a gun and want to blow their brains out, that has cut themselves because the only pain that they could feel was the pain of the knife going across the wrist. Are you hearing what I'm saying? The self-inflicted pain, bringing inflictions on their body because it's the only pain. Shame drives people to a place that they also think that nobody cares, not even God cares about who I am and where I am and what I've been through. And shame drives us so far away. And I got news for us today. Dad doesn't look at him and start complaining and ask him, why do you look the way you look? Smell the way you smell. Where have you been? Dad doesn't look at him because shame has driven that boy to think he's going to ask me, where did I spend my living that he gave me? Where did I spend the night? How many women have I been with? How many drugs I have done before? Are you hearing what I'm saying today? But so he is standing in front of his dad, and dad doesn't bring one thing that he has done. He could have been justified by saying to him, I knew you was a failure when you was a little boy. He could have damaged him for good. Shame would have been driven deeper and deeper and deeper. He's already shameful enough. He could have said to his boy, I knew when you left here you was going to lose everything you've got. You've never had a good mind from the day you were born. And all it would have done, ladies and gentlemen, mamas and daddies, was to drive that shame deeper and root deeper and deeper and deeper. Oh, you hear what I'm saying today? But see, Dad doesn't do that. As a matter of fact, when he said, I'm no longer worthy to be called thy son, the Bible said, but the Father said, I'm no longer, but the Father said. That's the title of my message today. But the Father said, there's a comma there. He turns around and says, bring me a robe. Bring me some shoes. Bring me the ring. Put it on him. And that fatted calf that I have grain fed, that's what it means in the Hebrew and the Greek, grain fed, I want you to go get him. For my son was lost, and now he's found. For my son was dead, he said, but now he's alive. Son, I don't care where you've been. I don't care who you've been with, who you did it with, and how long you done it. I don't care what you're thinking in your mind. Y'all ready for this? I do not care how long you've been gone. All I know is there's something inside of Daddy that says, thank you for coming home. And the shame that boy had was instantly annihilated because the Father said, that's all he had to do was say. You know what he was saying? How dare you think that you're not worthy now to be my son? You were my son the day you were born. You were my son the day you left me. And I don't care what you look like, what you smell like, what you've done, where you've been, and how long you've done it. I don't care. And you'll always be my son. Put the robe on him. Put the ring on him. Put the shoes on his feet. Now let's go be merry for my son. Would you stand to your feet this morning? Jesus looked at a woman caught in adultery, and he asked her a question that I'm going to ask you. Is this okay? I'm going to ask you a question that Jesus asked her. If you're here today and you're dealing with shame, and you feel like that you can't, I feel like in the Holy Ghost that somebody woke up this morning after the last week of your life, even maybe last night, that you don't even feel that you're worthy enough to talk to the Lord. But the Lord is saying, I don't think the way you think, and I don't say things the way you say. I just want you. So he finds this woman as he sits on a stone, riding in the dirt. And you that are feeling like you are so suppressed and oppressed and depressed by your past, what you've done, and you're dealing with shame today. Let me ask you a question that Jesus asked her. Woman, where are thine accusers? You know what she said to him? Sir, I have none. Because they all walked away. You hear me today? And Jesus is going to respond to us in this room the way he responded to her. Neither do I condemn thee. Just go and sin no more. Stay away from it. Shame was annihilated. You know, there's an old story, and I'm not trying to hold you long, because I know that I can preach you into conviction and be here too long to preach you out of conviction. But while there's conviction in this room, there's an old story about a young boy that left his mom and dad. There's a song written about it, about the old apple tree. He did all that he did, and he was so scared to go home. So he wrote a letter to his parents, and he said, if it's okay that I could come home, would you put some white handkerchiefs in the tree that when I pass by on the train, if they're there, I will get off the train. If there's nothing in the apple tree, then I'll just stay on the train. He's riding beside an old man, and he's nervous, and he asks the old man, right around that bend is where I was raised, and there's a big old apple tree behind the house. And sir, I don't have guts enough to get up to see. For you see, I have lived my life horribly, and I just want to go home. And the song is, the old man said, you want me to look for you? He said, yeah, because I just can't bear the thought that if there's no white handkerchiefs or anything in that tree, that they don't want me to come home. I can't bear it. He stuck his head out, took his hat off, and stuck his head out the window. He sat back down with a smile, and he said, son, you don't have anything to worry about. There's white sheets hanging in that tree. And there's an old gray-headed mom and daddy out there with a sheet. Come home. Just come home. These altars are open this morning. I want to know if anybody's dealing with shame. Don't come because I want you to or because I'm asking. But if you really feel in your spirit, in your heart, in your soul that you just need to, you don't even have to kneel, just come and just stand here and say, I've not been everything I need to be. I've not done everything I know I need to do. But Lord, I'm starting today. I'm coming home. I see angels with white sheets waving for you to come home. We've all failed. Yes, we have. Does anybody want to just come and stand at the altar and just repent and say, I'm sorry? He's not going to put you as a servant. He's going to put you right back where you was. A son and a daughter. Come home. Come home. Would you sing today? Why don't you talk to God? Why don't you talk to Him a little bit today? Talk to Him this morning. Turn your life around. Won't you let Him have your life? We've lived our own life our own way for so long. We've made a mess out of it. Some of us have. I have. I've been there. I've done that. The only hope I had was with the mercies of God met me when I prayed. It said, I see more in you than you see in yourself. And that's what He's telling you this morning. But the Father said, I got better for you. I got better for you. I'm not going to throw you away. I'm just waiting on you to come. I'm not going to cast you away, He's saying. That's what He said to the prodigal. Why don't you come? I've been living for God for 30 years. That's okay. We all still need to renew. Your father this morning has said, I don't want to hear your story. I'm just glad you're home. I don't want to hear your story. I'm just glad you're home. Come on in here. Let's be a family again. Let me love and hold you and protect and make provision for you. You don't have to do this alone. But the Father said, bring the fatted calf. It's time to rejoice.
I can be free. I can be whole. I can tell everyone I know it's worth saving. So you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping. So you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for. So you sacrificed your life so I could be free. I could be whole. I can tell everyone I know. Once I was so lost without hope and peace inside. I was so ashamed of the life I lived. Guilt and shame I tried to hide. But then one day somebody told me of Jesus who paid the price I could never pay. I surrendered my life to Him. He saved my soul and I'm glad today. He thought I was worth saving. So you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping. So you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for. So you sacrificed your life so I could be free. I could be whole. I could tell everyone I know. You thought I was worth saving. So you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping. So you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for.
Make a commitment today.
Sacrificed your life so I could be free.
Make a commitment today. I'm going home. Going home.
And your mercies I haven't earned, but you keep on extending.
I've not lived a good life. It's okay.
When you died on
He wants you to come home.
Lord, you suffered it all for
He holds nothing against you. No reason to be shameful. Start a brand new life. Turn the page. Start a new chapter. Live for God. Sell out. Be sold out to Him. Every day of your life. Pray every day. Seek Him every day. Read His Word and spend time with Him every day.
So you sacrificed your life so I could be free, I could be whole, I could tell everyone I know you thought I was worth saving. So you came and changed my life, you thought I was worth keeping. So you cleaned me up inside, you thought I was to die for. So you sacrificed your life so I could be free, I could be whole, I could tell everyone I know.
We'll close in this song. Sing it. We'll close in this song today. Everybody should know it. Everybody should know it.
Come home, ye who are weary, come home. There's a light of hope still shining, mercy leads it on.
What if the
So
prodigal
wandering heart
would have stayed another week?
can find its way back
What if the prodigal would have passed or died
home.
before he got home?
Come home, come home, ye who are
Don't wait too late.
come home. There's a
Don't
light
wait
of
too
hope
late.
still shining, mercy leads it on.
Don't wait
So
too
your
late.
wandering heart can find its way back home. Come home, come home, come home.
Everybody sing it.
Ye who are weary, come home. There's a light of hope still shining, mercy leads it on. So your wandering heart can find its way back home. Come home, come home, come home. Ye who are weary, come home. There's a light of hope still shining, mercy leads it on. So your wandering heart
Yes.
can find its way back home.
I know today is Christmas Eve, but I want you to have a good Christmas. I want you to go by and shake somebody's all of our guests' hand today. Hug somebody. If you made a commitment today that you're going to serve God, we're going to come by and shake your hand too. And if you didn't, we're still going to shake your hand. And we're going to say to you, welcome home. Welcome home. Amen. Will you do that real quick? Go by and shake our guest's hand today. Have a safe Christmas tomorrow. Remember, it ain't about Santa. It's about Jesus. It's not about Santa. It's about Jesus.
Turned out the way you planned. in His